Dolphins second-round pick in this past year's draft, Jonah Savaiinaea, has been getting a lot of hype from teammates, even some members of the coaching staff, after Dolphins minicamp. This should have Dolphins fans fired up, and I am excited to see how Jonah will ultimately perform this upcoming year. Before we get into what was said on Jonah and how he projects to play this upcoming season for Miami, are you fired up for Savaiinaea? Hit that thumbs up icon if you are. If he happens to come across this video, I want him to know that the Dolphins fans are excited for him being a member of this offensive line and organization. Hit that thumbs up icon to show the Rook some love. All right, this entire kind of segment is being started and sprungboard by James Daniels, the veteran that the Dolphins signed in free agency, because he was asked about Savaiinaea. He said that Jonah reminds him of one of his old teammates, one of his good friends, Isaac Seumalo, who's one of the best offensive guards in the entire NFL. They have very similar movements and stuff. He's always texting me. He's always texting other players asking for advice. So it's always working after practice. I'm excited to see his development. And you hear the stories of Jonah at college. You look at his athletic testing. You look at his production as a member of the Arizona Wildcats. And you just understand why the Dolphins ultimately traded up to get him with the 37th overall pick. I know a lot of people, including myself, were somewhat skeptical of trading up at the time just because we had such a large need and still have a need at corner. And I was like, well, if we're trading up, why not go after Will Johnson or sit at 48 and take like a Trey Amos or a Savone Revel, or maybe even let Will Johnson slide there, although he did go 47, so it would have been one pick ahead of Miami. But they were very aggressive. They clearly eyed Savaiinaea as a perfect fit for this Dolphins group. They know they needed to complete their offensive line, so they sent their third, their fourth to get a second and a fourth again. So, or fifth, early fifth it was. And we've talked about this in the past, and I want to make this clear. Like, you did need to trade up to get Jonah. There was a story that came out, and there's been even more evidence since the draft that's come out, that the New England Patriots were going to take Savaiinaea with pick number 38. They ended up taking Travion Henderson after Miami moved one spot ahead of them and took Jonah. But it always will bring a smile to my face to trade up and snipe one of your division rivals on a player that projects to be really good. Now, it still remains to be seen where he slots in on this offensive line. I think it would be smarter to play him at right guard. He has gotten some reps at left guard during minicamp next to Patrick Paul. I've been very open about how I think Jonah being in between two veterans like Brewer and Jackson would only do him more of a chance of being good this upcoming year. Like, I don't know if it's the best idea to put a first-year full-time starter in Patrick Paul and a rookie at left guard. You sign James Daniels. But either way, this offensive line projects to be way better than last year's. He can be a difference maker on this football team. And that's something that excites me. We all knew last year's number one issue for the Miami Dolphins was their inability to run the ball in between the tackles, inside the red zone, the 5, and in short yard situations. Jonah and James Daniels coming in to be your starting guards instead of players like Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg, well, that takes your offense to potentially a whole different level. More discussion here in a second, but are you excited about Jonah? If you are, let me know by scaling your excitement level 1 to 10 down in the comments section. I'm fired up. I'm really excited. I'm ready to go. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Jonah has been someone that I really like, and he was a player that was labeled as a really good fit for the Miami Dolphins quite a bit throughout the pre-draft process. And you could see why. Like, he performed at a very high level at Arizona. He just was really good. Now, he was better as a pass blocker than a run blocker, according to Pro Football Focus. But something that I just really liked from him was his versatility. And that's something that I preached a lot after they made the selection. He had about 400 snaps in his career at left tackle, about 800 at right tackle, about 700 at right guard. He can play each guard spot. He can play each tackle spot. Now, he has played on the right side for most of his career, which is why I think it was smarter and will be smarter to play him at right guard even more in between Austin Jackson and Aaron Brewer. But Savaiinaea is a player that I am really high on. And with the Dolphins expected to run the ball a lot more, like the running game just wasn't there last season for Miami. Now, you can blame the offensive line, which I think does get a lot of the blame. You can blame Mike McDaniel for his play calling. You can also blame, Tua Tagovailoa for being out of the football field for 6 games and making them a team that wasn't really respected through the air for 6 games out of the 17-game season that Miami had. They will run the ball a lot more. Mike McDaniel said at minicamp that he will have a more balanced play sheet this season. And with the upgrades at O-line, they want to get back to the offense they had in similar to 2023, where they were a top 5 offense, arguably top 1, but because they were top 5 in passing and top 10 in rushing. So I think they're going to try to get back to that this upcoming season offensively, which should bring a lot of excitement to Dolphins fans. More conversation here in a second, but got to show some love to our sponsor on today's show, Mando, and they have a whole new product I can't wait to tell you about. Have you ever stepped outside and felt like you're instantly drenched in sweat? It's like no matter what you do, it doesn't stop. And trust me, in Dallas, Texas, this is every time I step outside in the summer. If you've been struggling with the heat and humidity like I have great news. Mando has just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. Introducing the Mando Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid Stick. It's double protection. Finally, you get the odor control you love with Mando, plus powerful sweat control. Their starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. This new sweat control deodorant is a game changer for me. Everyone knows, if you've watched our show, my favorite product they had was the deodorant wipes. Well, in the summer, in the Dallas, Texas heat, yeah, the sweat control deodorant is rising up my board. That is for sure, just like Jonah Savaiinaea. So as a perfect deal for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code CHAT. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. With Deodorant Plus Sweat Control, say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. As we get back to the Miami Dolphins offense here and Jonah Savaiinaea, he really does fit this offense perfectly because we've talked about this in the past. When you are speaking about an offensive lineman in a Mike McDaniel scheme, you need to have the ability to get to the second level quickly. You need to get the ability to get to the outside the perimeter on pulls, on pitches, because they run a zone scheme. And Jonah Savaiinaea at college specialized at least in zone run blocking schemes. At least it was better than gap run blocking schemes. You see the 3 years that he was starting, one as a split left tackle, right tackle, one is fully right tackle, one is fully right guard. That full right guard year was in 2023, where he had a 62.2 zone run blocking grade. Like, he is a better blocker in zone. And that should bring smile to Dolphins fans' ears because that is why the Dolphins liked him, because he really is a good fit for their Dolphins offensive scheme. James Daniels, who originally quoted on Savaiinaea, had a very interesting note on the offense and why he joined this Miami Dolphins organization, which I wanted to share as well. We run the ball a lot. You can't not be physical and run. You can't just toss the ball every play and just circle defenses. It's not college. There is a time where we are going to have to block the defensive line. We're going to have to block linebackers on every play. That's why I thought I was brought here. I could not be more excited for the more well-balanced offensive attack Miami is going to have this season. If you were a subscriber last year, and I know not everyone was, so appreciate the new subscribers, appreciate the old subscribers. The rants that I would go on during the 2024 season about the inept play calling from McDaniel, abandoning the run, throwing the ball on 3rd and 1, on 3rd and 2, on 4th and inches, the unsuccessful rate Miami had at converting in short yard situations in the red zone and in the middle of the field on 3rd and 4th down. It was driving me mad. I called for Mike McDaniel to give up play calling at one point in the year, and I kind of still might think that's the best thing for Miami because he abandoned the run so much. But if we're going to take his word at value here in the offseason, he wants to run the ball more. And I think they made the adjustments with their roster in the offseason, bringing in Savaiinaea, signing James Daniels, making a more conservative effort to upgrade the trenches so they could be more physical at the point of attack, especially in November, December, and January, when you need to be able to run the football to win big-time games on the road. and in home environments as well. I cannot wait to see a more balanced offense. And make sure you are subscribed for more coverage daily on the Miami Dolphins. We have daily content, including live shows every Tuesday afternoon. Subscribe, turn on your notifications so you never miss a piece of content we put out, because boy, oh boy, is it good stuff. All right, we know it's a needed improvement. Let's look at last year's offensive line in 2024. According to Pro Football Focus, they were ranked 27th out of 32 teams in run block grade. They ranked 20th in pass block grade. So they were bottom half in the NFL in both run blocking and pass blocking. They were also bottom 10 in yards per carry, 4.0 yards per carry, fourth worst, tied at 27. And they actually had the worst rush first down percentage at 20.7%, which is the amount of runs, obviously percentage, that resulted in first downs. So they barely, out of 5 runs, would have one of those runs ultimately get a first down. That is extremely low. 30 seconds, the worst in football. We know that the Dolphins offense took a massive step back in comparison to 2022 and 2023 because they were one-dimensional. They were not able to run the ball in between the tackles, up the middle, in short yard situations. The only success they had on runs is when they were able to get to the outside. And even that wasn't confirmed success for Miami. They had to rely on so much of the screen game, the passing game, to where it was a one-dimensional offense. And when Tua Tagovailoa was not in the game because they were not able to run the ball, the backup quarterback severely struggled. But running the ball also will set up a three-dimensional game, because now you have pass, you have run, but now you add in that play action that really will take defenses by surprise. And if you look at what Tua did last season in his 11 games played during play action, out of the 25 quarterbacks that qualified for enough dropbacks throwing the football, he ranked 11th out of 25 quarterbacks in terms of the drop back percentage of a play action. So nothing crazy. They would like to probably do more play action. But I think the fact they still ranked, he did, in the top half of qualified quarterbacks in drop back percentage tells you that they tried to fake out defenses even with no threat of the run game. That's kind of insane to me. He was successful in terms of completing passes. Now, most of that could be because they did run a lot of play action screens to running backs to Jonnu Smith. He had a 3 touchdown to 2 interception ratio, and he was not good in terms of big time throw percentage, 18th out of 25, and then turnover worthy play percentage. He put the ball in harm's way, 21st out of 25, so not good in that direction. But even though the metrics in terms of the advanced of big time throw, turnover worthy play percentage, I still think Tua would thrive in a system like this. Think about why this Dolphins offense was so dynamic in the first 2 years with Mike McDaniel. They were hitting Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill for big-time plays consistently. Teams adjusted at the end of the year, playing more too high, saying, you know what, we'll give you 5-yard runs. We'll give you 5-yard passes. We're not letting you beat us deep with 25-plus yard plays through the air. But if you have more of a threat to run the ball and you are consistently picking up 5, 6, 7 yards running the football, whether it's outside runs, inside runs, well, that will bring those linebackers up. That will bring those safeties up. So when you run a hard play action and they initially hold or take even a step up on that play action to try to stop the run, and you have your blazing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the outside beating their man downfield, and now the safeties, because they had that moment of hesitation, can't get back to your 2 speedy guys, you will have more leeway for big plays. Like, it is a domino effect. Jonah Savaiinaea, James Daniels, making a better offensive line to where the Dolphins can run the football equals more balanced offensive attack, which equals more play action, which equals more space for Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to operate deeper down the football field. It is a chain reaction, which is why we always talk about building your team through the trenches is the best way to do it. If you have the best offensive line and you have the best defensive line in each respective game, you will win probably more than 75% of the time, because you can dominate the point of attack defensively, and then you can do it offensively, which just creates so much. So the Dolphins trying to build through the trenches by adding James Daniels, Jonah Savaiinaea, Patrick Paul from a year ago, Kenneth Grant in the first round this year, and then drafting 2 other defensive linemen, Zeke Biggers and Jordan Phillips, it provides me with at least a little bit of optimism going forward that they will be the more physical football team in some of these big-time games. All right, that will do it for this video. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here on this episode of Dolphins Today. Make sure you subscribe for more Dolphins content. We'll be back tomorrow with a live show and more content throughout the week. So subscribe and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go Fins.